guys, this is Sensei Madison again, and today we're going to be coding part 2 of Endless Run, and in this part we're going to worry about cloning both the stone and the shuriken, so the ninja keeps running into obstacles. Last time we made the cloud, shuriken, and stone move backwards, and the ninja appears as if it's walking. One thing I need to add though, under the shuriken, is it moves backwards, but it doesn't look like it's spinning. So real quickly, we're just going to add the spin function. I'm going to pick -80, and now when I start the game, you'll notice it's spinning backwards. So now we can worry about cloning with the shuriken and the stone. So let's go to the scene for initialize, and I'm just going to call my functions random stone and random shuriken. So let's do random stone first. So I'm going to type function, name of the function, and feel free at any point to pause the video to make sure your brackets and everything are correct. I know it can be kind of tricky. So I'm going to make a property of the scene. We're going to call it stone time, and we're going to make a timer. Now, when we make a timer, the first thing we do is put in how often it's cloned. So for now, I'm just going to pick every 4 seconds, which is represented as 4,000. And then next, we have our word function. And again, just make sure all your brackets and stuff are correct before we actually fill in what's inside of the function. Next, we need to make a variable of the cloned stone. This should be pretty familiar with you guys, so we're going to do var. I'm going to call this variable endstone for new stone. We're going to use the clone function. That should clone our stone. Next, we need to reset the cloned stone's position to the right of the screen. So remember, the stone's moving from the right of the screen to the left. Once it reaches the left of the screen and is off the screen, we need to recreate it on the right to make it look like it's moving backwards again. So I need to set the x position to the very right of the screen, which we already said in the first video, it's going to be the value 800. Last thing we need to do is I'm going to call random stone again. All this does is tell the computer, once I make one new stone as a clone, I'm just going to do it again and again until the game finishes. To make this game a little bit more challenging though, we don't want to clone the stone every 4 seconds. That makes it kind of easy to play. So what I'm going to do is make another variable, and we're going to call it stone delay. I'm going to make it a random number. You can kind of choose what number to pick. I'm going to pick maybe between 5 and 2 seconds. So remember, this will be represented as 5,000 and 2,000. Now, in our timer that we made, instead of putting the number 4,000, I can now put in my variable, stone delay, because this variable is represented as a random number. The last thing we can do before we test it out is, in our very first if statement of the scene, we need to just call the random stone function. So this just tells the computer, as soon as the game starts, we need to start making stones. So feel free to pause the video and just check how the stone is being cloned. Next, we're going to do the same exact thing, but with the shuriken. So this is going to look basically the same, except the words might be a little different, but we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make a property and call it shuriken delay, or shuriken time. Make our timer, and then we'll put, let's say 4,000 again, function, and then set all this up before we fill it inside. So again, make a new variable, I'll call it end shuriken, gonna clone it by using the clone function, and then we're gonna set the x position to the very right of the screen again, which is 800. So this is very similar to what we did before. The only difference is we're actually going to set the y value of this. I think maybe like 200, 220 might be a good number. You can kind of play around with it and see what works best for you. And then lastly, we're going to just call this function again. Tells the computer to keep making random shurikens. And then, like we did before, I'm going to make my new variable. You can make it a random number. You can change numbers. I'm going to pick maybe 7 and 3 seconds. So again, everything's being cloned a different amount of times, and this makes the game much more realistic to play. So we're going to put shuriken delay here, and then up at the top again, we're going to call that function. So that tells the computer when the game starts, start making random stones and start making random shurikens. So I'm just going to start the game, and we're just going to watch for a couple seconds and just see how they are cloned. So notice the stones appearing and the shurikens appearing.